Welcome to TS6 instructional video. Okay, let's get started, shall we? First thing we want to do is we want to take an object and throw it down in the center of the grid so we'll have something to work with. If you'll focus your attention to the left corner of the screen, we're going to click on second icon over from the left and go up to, and there we'll find a cube. You see it's attached to the bottom of my cursor. We're going to carry my cursor over to the middle of the grid, left mouse click once. Now right click on your mouse and it'll remove that tool from your cursor where you won't be placing them all over the grid. Okay, we have an object to work with now. I'm going to take my scroll mouse and zoom in on the object just a little bit. If you have a scroll wheel, you can zoom in and out. Another great tool here, which without it you couldn't get around and do what you need to do, and that's your little widget on the right hand side of the screen here. This widget will allow you to rotate all of your camera views. You can go all around to all different sides of your object, and you can do a top and bottom flyover and just check out everything about your object here. If this was a room, you could actually move inside the room and check things out on the wall and what have you, but we'll get into that later. That's the widget. Not much to tell about it except it'll get you around. Now I'm going to zoom in using the wheel on my mouse. I'm going to zoom in on this cube, and you're going to notice around this cube that we have a blue line going all the way around, and we've got other little objects on it. Now you notice whenever I move my cursor around that there's when I do a mouse over, you'll see some little yellow lines appear. Now those are called handles. If I rest my cursor on one of those yellow handles and hold my left mouse button down and move my mouse to the right, I'll change the shape of this object. See there? I just changed the shape of it. If I do the same thing with another handle, I'll change the shape even more. And if I use my widget and move around to one side or the other of the object, I could take a handle and actually thin my object down on the ends, just like so. Now you see these little diamond shaped handles? You can hold your mouse down on it, your mouse button, and then you can rotate that object. Look at there. I got a tabletop, or I got a flat roof. Now then I've got one side of an angled roof. See? Now let's say that you get something all out of whack there. You can hit your undo button and it'll take you back to where you was. Just keep clicking it until it gets to the point where you wanted to start over. There we go. Now another important tool I think that I'll cover right now is your paint tool. The paint tool is located on the bottom grid here. It's called a material editor. So just click on that once and it'll pop it up to the top of your screen. You notice the little blue arrow on the right side of the box? Yes, click on that and that'll open up the rest of your paint palette where you can choose a color. I think we'll use our mouse and go over here to the green side, and then we'll come over to the slider and darken it just a few shades, because let me tell you, while we're on the subject of color, the color that you put in here needs to be a couple of shades darker than what you use in Traveler, because Traveler automatically lightens the colors. The colors are going to show up lighter in Traveler for some reason. It's just a known phenomenon, so keep that in mind whenever you're coloring objects. Okay, you see what I did? I just hit this flood. It looks like a little funnel, and that flooded the color on this object, man. It's all colored. Okay, I'm going to hit my undo button. Now my object is back to the way I had it, and I'm going to actually change this object, flood it white, so you can see the difference when I paint it there. Kind of a white color. Now let's go with a deep rich blue. How's that sound? And I'm going to do a paint by face. You see this little paintbrush? Yep, you could go with a roller. I'm going to go with the paintbrush. Click once. I just painted that side of the object. Go to the back side with my widget. Click on the red. Just painted the back side of the object. So you can manipulate the object many ways with the handles I showed you earlier. But whenever you get down to painting, just make sure the object that you want to paint is highlighted. Because if you don't, you may be painting something over here you don't know about. Believe me, it happens. Just paint one side green here. There you go. Now we've got a brightly colored object there. That's the painting of the object. Now I'm going to get rid of my paintbrush and show you another important tool here. If you will focus your attention on the right bottom side of the screen, you see it looks like a little mouse cursor. Right click on that, and what that's going to do is going to open up an object info box. Now the object info box has everything about your object: the location, the rotation, and the size. You can actually resize your object from here if you want to get a precise size and not use the handles. This is where you want to do it. For instance, I want a 10-foot wall, so I'll put a 10 in there. The Z will give you your height. Okay, I've got a 10-foot wall. I just drug it up by the handle, but I didn't have to do that. I could split the 10 in half on the location and put a 5 in here in the Z area, the Z axis, and it'll pop it right up to the top there. Okay, I think I'll make my wall 30 foot long. Whew, look at there. Got me a 30-foot long wall, man. Just like that, just by putting a number in there. Now I think I'll make my wall a little, I don't want a 2-foot thickness wall, and each one of these numbers is almost equivalent to a foot. So I'm going to do like a 0.5, a 5-inch thick wall there. It'd be like a, a 0.5 is going to be like a half a foot. So there you go. Now we've got a pretty good wall started there. You can also manipulate the rotation just by putting a number in. You can rotate the object. See, I just rotated it, standing it straight up. All right, I'm going to undo that and rotate it another direction on the Z axis. Do a 90. See, I just rotated it that way. Now I'm going to do a 180. See, that just flipped it around to a different color. All right, let me zero that again. Now watch what happens when I do it to the Y-axis. Now I've got a long table. I've got a work table. I've got a roof. I've got a floor. You know, just by dropping it down and adding textures. I've got a floor. Yep, you could do whatever you wanted to with that. All right, let me undo that.